Howdy, welcome back to String 'em Up. My name's Dave Holland, and today I'd like to talk a bit about Kate Bush. First of all, I began assembling all of my top 10 lists, top 9 lists, about 11 weeks ago. It was the middle of April of this year, 2022, and I did that in an attempt to add a bit of variety to the channel. And by the way, my top 10 favorite rock bands list is doing pretty well, so keep supporting those videos. Now, in my top 9 amazing bands video, I mentioned an upcoming episode featuring my 9 favorite female vocalists. Now, remember, I compiled that list over 2.5 months ago. Well, recent events have changed things up a bit, and this video is a bit of a spoiler for that upcoming list. And so, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Here it is. Kate Bush will, in fact, be number 1 on that list. She's my favorite female vocalist of all time, and she's possibly my favorite vocalist ever. But she's more than just a singer. She's a songwriter, composer, pianist, dancer, actor, producer, music video pioneer, and she could probably do anything else that she decided to put her mind to. So I got into Kate Bush in 1988, my freshman year of music school. And her first 6 albums were my constant companions walking to and from my campus apartment to my daily classes at the University of Miami. Now, by the start of my final year at UM, the fall of '93, it had been 4 years since the release of her last album, The Sensual World, and anticipation for the next one was really high. And during that time, we had heard multiple rumors. Remember, this is before we all had the internet, right? We had heard rumors of prospective release dates, her possible retirement, proposed album titles, delays, etc., so on. Fact is, no one really knew what Kate was doing. We didn't even know if a new album was coming. So I scratched that Kate itch by embracing new music from Tori Amos, Harriet Wheeler, and Laurie Anderson. Anything that could give me a fix similar to some new Kate Bush material. Incidentally, Cyndi Lauper's Hatful of Stars album scratched that itch the best. It's an amazing album and you should check it out. Now, basically, at that point, I had given up. I had reluctantly moved on. So, when The Red Shoes dropped on November 1st, 1993, I could barely contain myself. I saw the video for Rubber Band Girl on MTV. And the second that video was over, I grabbed my wallet and ran across US 1 to Peach's Music, and I bought my copy, on cassette no less, and proceeded to enjoy an early birthday present. Now, I only tell this story to underscore this point, that when I started putting my top 10 list of favorite female vocalists together, there was absolutely no question about Kate's standing. She was always number 1. So, why am I intentionally spoiling an upcoming top 9 list? Why am I devoting an entire long episode to my number 1 pick before I've even counted that list down? And what is it that changed recently? Well, season 4 of Stranger Things. That's what. Stay tuned and I'll explain. So, if you watch Stranger Things, you probably already know that Max's favorite song is Running Up That Hill from Kate's 1985 album, Hounds of Love. Now, upon hearing the first strains of the song in the episode, I jumped out of my seat and said, "Oh God, that's Kate Bush." And I must have startled my wife because all she could muster in response was, "That's cool." So, for the rest of the episode, I watched with a sense of smug vindication, thinking to myself, people are listening to Kate whether they like it or not. Well, it turns out that they liked it. The Guardian reports that as of June 3rd, 2022, Running Up That Hill is the most streamed tune on Spotify and had re-entered the UK top 10 for the 3rd time. And according to KateBushNews.com, as of June 7th, it occupied the number 8 spot on the American top 10. Also, the album Hounds of Love currently occupies number 28 in the US Billboard album chart. Now, as a longtime Kate Bush fan, this is amazing to me. I say, bring it on. But as a Kate fan and advocate, I'm a little concerned with everyone jumping straight into Hounds of Love. Allow me to explain. Interestingly, The easiest way to dive into Kate's body of work is chronologically, simply because, for the most part, each album gets more difficult to decipher and digest than the last. So, for those new listeners who have become interested in Kate's work through Stranger Things, understand that Hounds of Love is her 5th album. It's fairly difficult listening. Well, side 2 is anyway. And while Running Up That Hill is a really accessible, catchy song, and there are other catchy tunes on the album, particularly Cloudbusting, Hounds of Love, and my favorite on the album, The Big Sky. Keep in mind, side 2 is pretty obtuse. In fact, tracks like Under Ice, Hello Earth, and Waking the Witch could actually be off-putting to new listeners, potentially blunting the current enthusiasm for Kate's work. And we don't want that. So, if you're new to Kate's music, consider simply starting from the beginning. So here's my longtime fan listening guide to Kate's first 5 albums. Kate's 1978 debut album, The Kick Inside, is probably her most accessible album. Now, this doesn't, however, mean it's not also quirky and adventurous. It definitely is. The songs are catchy, but not inane. Musically, her song structures and melodies are sophisticated, like a supercharged Beatles meets early Elton John kind of thing. But it's never sophisticated in a gratuitous sort of way. Lyrically, her verse is literate, thought-provoking, sentimental, and at times just outright shocking and suggestive. But I never got the idea that she's just flexing. This is just the way she writes. Possibly the best-known tune off the album is Wuthering Heights, which also appeared on Pat Benatar's 1980 album Crimes of Passion. It wasn't a hit in the US, but I do remember hearing it on the radio back in middle school. And standout tracks include the gentle yet propulsive and contrapuntal Room for the Life, and the flat-out hard-rocking and gunslinging James and the Cold Gun, which features some of Kate's most varied and intense vocals. But for me, the album really shines on the 3 esoteric songs, Them Heavy People, Strange Phenomena, and Kite. And these songs deal with metaphysical ideas, differing states of consciousness, the nature of existence, moral philosophy, communion with the divine. Pretty heavy and heady stuff. And this is a theme that she'll return to several times. Now for me, Kate's sophomore album, Lionheart, has always felt a bit like The Kick Inside Part 2, simply because she was largely working through a back catalog of songs she had been writing since she was 14. It's easily as accessible as The Kick Inside, maybe more so simply because of the production value. The melodies might be a bit more expansive and quirky, and the chord progressions may have become a tick more adventurous, but it really is the perfect extension of and companion to her debut. There are rockers, Don't Push Your Foot on the Heartbreak, and Hammer Horror. Wistful recollections of very British things, In Search of Peter Pan, and Oh England, My Lionheart. And really suggestive love songs like Symphony in Blue and In the Warm Room. But the virtuoso performance on the album and on her 1979 Live from the Hammersmith concert video is wow. A song about working and surviving in the entertainment industry, which features some of her most acrobatic vocals using several octaves of her 5.5 octave range. And while the video for Wow is pretty stunning, the live performance from the Hammersmith is mind-blowing. And you know what? I'm pretty sure that this is my favorite Kate Bush tune. Never Forever is the album where Kate really seems to start going for it. Her songwriting has become quite bold and experimental, apparently aided by her use of her newly acquired Fairlight sampling synthesizer. And you know what? In some cases, her writing has become just plain weird. Now, every song here is essentially a character piece, with Kate assuming the point of view and, most importantly and interestingly, the persona and even the voice of each of those characters. For example, she is the grieving Irish mother in Army Dreamers. She becomes both the bored husband and the paranoid wife of Babushka. And she personifies the spitting, snarling, vengeful, widowed bride of the wedding list. Once again, we see esoteric themes re-emerging in songs like The Searching, Yearning, All We Ever Look For, Blow Away's contemplation of the afterlife, the ghost story of the infant's kiss, and the berserk, diabolical flailing of violin, which features a blistering guitar solo by Alan Murphy. Check out the video for Army Dreamers, by the way. The first scene is a stunning virtuoso performance by Kate's eyes. I know it sounds weird, but please check it out. Pound for pound, The Dreaming is Kate's strangest album. She once referred to it as her Gone Mad album or something to that effect. And mad it is. In fact, The Dreaming is just plain bonkers. It's simultaneously the most terrifying, the most absurdly humorous, and the most heartbreaking album I've ever heard. The wistful, flowing song structures of her first three albums have been replaced with a propulsive rhythmic minimalism, including tribal drums, rhythmic ostinatos, using her breath as a percussion instrument, Irish-style lilting, and shamanistic chanting, which provides a throbbing, hypnotic feel for much of the album. Conversely, the ballads on The Dreaming are so achingly slow and deliberate they feel damn near static. The overall effect of listening to the entire album is one of floating suspension of time and space, as if it inhabits an in-between state of consciousness and awareness. And this is where the mystical rears its head again, in songs like the transcendent love story of Houdini, the Australian Aboriginal Dreamtime of The Dreaming, and by the way, Kate's Aussie accent is humorously adorable, by the way. It also includes the terrifying psychic home invasion of Get Out of My House, which I hear may have been inspired by Stephen King's The Shining. Now for me, the standout tracks are Suspended in Gaffa and Leave It Open. The first is about a woman who sees God and wants to repeat the experience, but only on her terms, as she repeatedly sings, "Not till I'm ready for you." And then there's Leave It Open, which is about being receptive to new, possibly transcendental ideas, experiences, and stimuli. And the song ends with the terrifying backward masked vocal mantra of "We let the weirdness in." If you can learn to love The Dreaming, then Hounds of Love will be a piece of cake. So here we are, Hounds of Love. First things first, this is a concept album. Technically, it's two concept pieces. Side one entitled Hounds of Love, which deals with differing aspects of love. And side two entitled The Ninth Wave, which is a stream of consciousness song cycle depicting a drowning. Now, it is possibly her masterpiece. Personally, my vote would be for The Dreaming, but most fans consider The Ninth Wave, side two, to be her pinnacle. Now, I have to mentally prepare myself to listen to this album. So, and I'm a Kate Bush fan, so my big advice for new listeners is stick with side one for a while and enjoy the catchy, quirky songs. Also, check out the videos for Running Up That Hill, Cloud Busting, Hounds of Love, and my favorite from the album, The Big Sky, which interestingly is about cloud busting, but the song Cloud Busting is about rain making. So I'm assuming there's something lost in translation from American and British English. I don't know. Anyway, the video narratives may help you figure out exactly what Kate's talking about. They may not. So go ahead and save side 2, which begins with "And Dream of Sheep," for when you feel as if you figured Kate out a bit. Use that break to catch up on her earlier albums. And for your information, The Ninth Wave, The Dreaming, and her most recent album, 50 Words for Snow, are her most obtuse works. So don't be in such a hurry to get there. I'll do another video on her later albums at some point soon. So right before I started filming, a thought occurred to me. This is a guitar-oriented channel. Why should fretted instrumentalists care about a singing piano player? Well, I can give you 2 reasons. Number 1, Elton John, and number 2, Billy Joel until about 1980. Pianists play chords and melodies just like we do. So pianists should matter to guitarists, mandolinists, etc., other fretted instruments. But consider this. David Gilmour discovered her and performs on and or produced some of her material. Now, for all you metalheads out there, Jimmy Bain, yes, that Jimmy Bain, the bassist from Dio and Rainbow, is all over The Dreaming, playing a fretless bass no less. Ian Berenson from the Alan Parsons Project was guitarist in her 1979 touring band, and her 1993 album, The Red Shoes, features performances by Jeff Beck, Eric Clapton, and Prince. And also Del Palmer, her longtime bass player. He is such a good bass player, and he's such a cool-looking dude, so check him out. Anyway, are those enough reasons to check Kate out? Please do so. Please like, share, and subscribe if you're enjoying the channel's content. Hit the notification bell so you'll always know when a new episode drops, and feel free to leave comments or any suggestions for any topics you might like to see in some future videos. Also, check out my other channel, Live from the Stairwell, and check out some 100% live unplugged performances from, you guessed it, my back stairwell. My name's Dave Holland, and thanks for watching String 'em Up. Have fun, stay safe, have a safe 4th of July, and I'll see you next time. Bye.